All right, peace, 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 you beautiful soul. And yeah, welcome. This is going to be our first session. Within this session, we're going to be covering the first through the sixth house. Then the next session after that, we'll be covering the seventh to the 12th house, right? Then the planets, then the aspects, right? And then at the last, we'll put it all together. So this is very exciting, because this is your energetic makeup, your energetic blueprint. Yeah. So let's definitely get into it. One thing that I noticed is you're pretty fixed, meaning that you have your sun, moon, and ascendant. You actually have 9 placements within your chart that are within fixed signs, and what this means is that it's interesting because you're both fixed and cardinal, right? The cardinal energy is very mutable and changeable. It's gas. Meanwhile, the fixed is solid. But you're more solid and more fixed and more somewhat stuck in your ways, more so inclined towards staying in comfort and staying in stagnation. Uh, and I don't mean it in a bad way. Like, I'm just glimpsing over this right now. Even I haven't really looked deep into it, but that's just one thing that I've noticed when I first looked at your chart. You feel me? But anyways, to get to business, right? Let's get serious now. So first and foremost, you have your ascendant within the sign of Capricorn. Of Taurus, right? Your rising is in Taurus. And so this is 24 degrees Taurus. So what this would indicate and mean is that 6 degrees of your first house is within the sign Taurus, and then 24 degrees, the rest of it, is in the sign Gemini. And so because the cusp sign is Taurus, it makes it more powerful, because this is the sign that initiates your first house. So this is the sign that's being most broadcasted into your first house. But then the stars are associated with the Gemini energy. They're somewhat dormant stars. They're not as effective, but they're more like energies that will trickle into your life in less obvious ways, specifically your personal life. And so before we get into Taurus and Gemini and break down what that means, let's get into the first house and what that means and what it signifies and represents. So the first house is a house of the personal life, is what I'm saying. It governs all things personal, in the sense that within life, we have different departments, right? We have the department of life that deals with our partnerships and relationships, and that's the 7th house, right? We'll get into the 7th house in the next session. But then we have the complete opposite of partners and relationships, which is our personal life, right? Which is the 1st house. And then we also have the department of life that deals with family and home and things like that, which is the 4th house. The 1st house is your personal life, your personal energies and personal experiences. It encompasses and embodies things like your personality, things like personal issues and personal situations, so things like your health, and even things like your location, you know what I'm saying? But in general, this is the department of life that just deals with your personal life and your personal experiences. So first and foremost, with your ascendant being within the sign Taurus, let's talk about the rulers of the 1st house. So the first ruler of your 1st house would be Venus, because Taurus is ruled by the planet Venus. And because you don't have any planets within your 4th house, this is an indication that Taurus is like the only planet within your Taurus is the only energy within your 1st house. So Venus is the only planet that rules your 1st house. And so what this means is that the planet Venus has a great influence and a great governance over the experiences that happen within your 1st house. And, to look into Venus, we recognize that Venus is within Cancer in the 2nd house. But Cancer is a very familial sign, and the 2nd house is as a house that deals with the finances, money, and wealth. And so we'll get more into that later when we talk about, Venus, when we talk about the planet specifically. But with you having Venus in Cancer within the 2nd house, This is the energy that Venus is influencing your personal life from. And we'll get more into that later when we get into the planet. But right now, let's kind of isolate the first house and kind of discuss what the first house signifies and represents. First and foremost, we already talked about the first house, your personal life, and we talked about all that good stuff. And now the next good thing to get into is to discuss, what the energy of Taurus signifies and represents. And so when it comes to the energy of Taurus, this is an energy, it's just first and foremost, it's the second sign, right? This is an energy that deals with resources, physical resources, specifically personal resources. Traditionally, Taurus is connected to the second house, right, which is the house of wealth, the house of money, resources, things like that. And so Taurus is a very physical and tangible sign. Its key phrase is, I have, right? They're all about having things. And they're all about possessing things, wanting to possess things, wanting to have things. And so what this can indicate with you having your first house within the sign Taurus, this is an indication that your personal life is greatly influenced by practicality, by simplicity, because Taurus is a very simple sign, very practical sign, very frugal, or like, it doesn't need too much to be happy or satisfied. And to an extent, like Leo can be the same way too, to an extent. But Leos, they kind of like to live lavishly to an extent, and Taurus is like that too. So that energy of your Leo is kind of gonna somewhat influence the Taurus energy from not expressing so much in minimalism, but to an extent it does express through minimalism, through simplicity. But I bring up Leo because Leo kind of likes a little bit more. It's a fire sign. It kind of likes to enjoy life, to be lavish in its experiences, But anyways, Taurus, right, we talked about how it is an earth sign, right? And being an earth sign, it deals with groundedness, deals with things that are physical. It's a fixed sign, so that means it's very slow. And I don't mean slow as in like retarded, right? Dumb. I mean slow as in kind of like a bull, right? Or a cow, or a giant beast that kind of is peaceful, though, that takes its time to graze through the field, right? The Taurus energy is very majestic, and this is because the Taurus energy is very feminine. Being the first earth sign, this energy is acquainted and associated with nature. It's the first earth sign to come into manifestation. And so Taurus is not only associated and connected with nature, and because it's associated and connected with nature, right, it deals with femininity that's connected to nature. But Taurus, because of its connection to nature, is typically very mystical and psychic. Even though it's an earth sign, it's very practical and it likes material comforts and security and stability. There are natures within Taurus that incline towards psychicism. You feel what I'm saying? Taurus is very, very sensual, right? They love touch. They like to feel things, comfort materially. But simultaneously, because of their extreme physical senses, it kind of reflects spiritually as them having innate spiritual senses as well. And so as I explained it previously, as I'm explaining this energy, keep in mind that these are different departments that exist within your light body, or your astral body, as it's commonly referenced when we're talking Hermetic astrology. And so these are just different departments contained within these areas. And later with mental alchemy, we can revisit them and kind of alter them if we need to. But yeah, that's pretty much like with the Taurus energy. The thing with Taurus is that they are honestly, there isn't too much to say about Taurus because it's very straight to the point type of energy. But I guess I will say this. You do have Taurus within the Capricorn decan, right? Your ascendant is within the Capricorn decan of Taurus, and this is like a Venus Saturn influence, right? And this is the area that deals with, like, in a sense, determination, and perseverance. Because Taurus, well, because Saturn is very much a sign that deals with perseverance and persistence, and to an extent, it's also a area of mastership. More than anything, this is the deacon of mastership of Taurus. And so, hold on, sorry, I have to clear my throat. Yeah, my apologies. And so, yeah, more specifically, this deacon of Taurus is all about finding some sort of material work and perfecting it, getting as perfect and as good at it as possible. And to kind of get insight into your first house ruler, which is Venus, Venus being in Cancer in the second house, with my apologies, with Cancer, being the sign that deals with, family, and with the second house being the house that deals with personal resources and finances and money, these are in a sense the things that this energy may express in perfection towards. You may take it very personal. In regards to your family, you may take your family very personal. You may take your personal resources very personal. So things like money and things like that. And that may be the primary focus for development for you in this lifetime. You feel what I'm saying? And so Taurus is typically a very aesthetic sign, and this can mean that you as a Taurus yourself enjoy beauty. You enjoy art, music, amazing, wonderful food, good, delicious food. But this can also be an indication that you in and of yourself may be a significator or a representation of beauty. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the times, Tauruses are beautiful, especially Taurus women, right? And Taurus deals with things like modeling, deals with things like fashion, things like clothing, But the greatest quality with Taurus is in its ability for practicality. It's very, very practical and simplistic, and it knows how to acquire things. It knows how to navigate in the physical world and, in a sense, play the physical rules to get physical results and resources. You feel what I'm saying? And so the innate strength for Taurus, though, is that it is very, very, it has high stamina, meaning that it can persevere and go through all types of things and persist and not give up. It's very, very strong like that. Tauruses, are good with repetitive tasks. So like a field of work, for example, where you got to do the same thing over and over, a Taurus can propel in that. And it's also because Taurus rules the base of the brain. It rules the throat as well, and it rules the tongue. It rules the mouth in general. And so the throat, because Taurus rules the voice, a lot of Tauruses have beautiful voices, they can sing. It rules the base of the brain because this is primarily where our repetitive mass motions and tasks are stored, and then it rules the mouth because it's very sensual and likes food and taste. And so that's its strength, its ability to have great stamina and perseverance. But its weakness is in its stubbornness. Taurus can be very, very, very stubborn, very fixed in its way. But yeah, so that's Taurus energy, and that's your first house. So energies dealing with your first house, your personal life, are very much inclined towards the accomplishment of material security and stability, the operation of being as practical as possible, you feel what I'm saying, and kind of operating in a manner of having, making sure that you possess things and you accumulate things. That's very much the first house energy, which is the personal life. So yeah, that's where the energy may be primarily dominant. I said because your first house ruler is in Cancer, a lot of your possessions may be inclined towards family and emotional related things, but also physical related things too. But yeah, that's the first house. Now let's get into the second house. So when it comes to the second house, you have your second house in the sign. Hold on, let me check. You should have your second house within the sign Gemini. I just want to double check to make sure that is the case, and it is. Yeah, so you have your second house within the sign Gemini, and your second house ruler is Venus, which is actually a good thing, a real good thing. You know what I'm saying? And then your second house ruler is Jupiter, and then your third second house ruler is the Sun. Ooh wee, money, 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 money. Wait, my bad, I got it all wrong. Your sun is in the third house. But Jupiter, no, so Jupiter and your sun are both in the third house. They're just really close to the second house, so I'm mistaking them to be in the second house. Oh crap. Yeah, my bad. The only planet in your second house is Venus. So your second house ruler is the planet Venus, and then your second house ruler is the planet Mercury. So Venus is the planet that naturally rules the second house. It is the planet that is most very influential, when it comes to money, because Venus is the planet of social affairs, right? It deals with engagement of people. It doesn't per se deal with social ambitions like Mars does. Socially ambitious, meaning wanting to be of high rank and wanting to attain respect and the esteem of your colleagues. That's more Mars. But Venus is like the planet that deals with the engagement of pleasure within social affairs, so enjoying in social pleasures. So that's more Venetian energy. And wherever an opportunity to be social and to network is present, wherever there are people, money can be made. You know what I'm saying? And the better you know how to navigate and work with people, the more money you can make. And that's like one of the reasons why Venus is very much inclined towards wealth production. Like Jupiter and Saturn, they're the primary business planets, and we'll get into that later, like I said. But anyways, with you having your second house ruler as Venus, Venus is a benefic planet. Venus brings harmony, right? So this can be an indication that when it comes to your finances and your wealth department of life, there can be somewhat of like harmony present. You feel what I'm saying? And we'll get deeper into what that all means later. You feel what I'm saying? But for now, we'll just look at the second house. So the second house ruler is Mercury. Mercury is the planet of intellect, the planet of reason, the planet of logic, the planet of planning, the planet of planning. You know what I'm saying? And so what that all means is you can leverage your intellectual abilities to accumulate and cultivate more wealth. So utilizing your thoughts and your thinking to formulate plans of execution. Like Gemini is a very entrepreneurial sign. You feel what I'm saying? But yeah, we'll get more into Mercury when we get into Mercury. Right now, let's look at your second house, which is in Gemini. So first and foremost, the key phrase for the sign Gemini is "I feel." My bad, not feel. That's Cancer. The primary thought trend for Gemini is "I think," right? And its key phrase is thoughts. So Gemini is all about thinking. It's all about thoughts. It's all about the mental plane. It's all about the mind. It's all about speech. It's all about writing, education, reason. So when it comes to this department of life, this compartment within your light body, astral body, or subconscious mind, whichever word you want to utilize, is very, very influenced by this Geminian energy, right? And so what this would be an indication of is, before we get into Gemini energy, let's talk about what the second house signifies and represents. And so this is a good section for me to get into the trinities of the houses. So there are 4 trinities within astrology as far as the houses are concerned. The first trinity is, well, there are many, many different trinities. There's trinities within planets, within houses, within the aspect, but right now we're primarily focusing on the houses. So the first trinity associated with the houses is the trinity of life, and this involves the first, the fifth, and the ninth house. You follow what I'm saying? And then we have the trinity of wealth, which involves the second, the sixth, and the 10th house. And then we have the trinity of association, right? Which is association, which is the houses 3rd, 7th, and 11th. And then we have the psychic houses, which are the 4th, 4th, 8th, and 12th house. You know what I'm saying? So we just talked about the first house, which is the house that deals with life. It's the house of life. It's the trinity of life. It's your personal life, And so the second house is your personal resources. The second house belongs to the trinity of wealth. And so it's important that I bring up the Trinity here because it's the best way for me to explain this energy to you. So when it comes to the second house, you feel what I'm saying? This house is the custodian of the wealth. It's like the treasure of the wealth. You feel what I'm saying? But then the sixth house governs the certain energies you have to align yourself with in order for you to accumulate and amass wealth. You feel what I'm saying? And then the 10th house is like the business. This can be like the title, you feel what I'm saying, of the business. Or like, let's say you have a building, like when people first come, like the reputation, the recognition of it, So the 10th house is that, it's like the house that deals with like the business, the reputation. Like, let's say you work, right? You're employed. Then your employer and the company of your employer would be the 10th house energy. So again, the 10th house is like the business you work at, the status and reputation of that business, that career, whatever. And then the 6th house is the labor that is involved for you to amass and acquire wealth. And then the 2nd house is like the bank. You can say the banks. It's like the safe, you feel what I'm saying? And even your perception on your wealth, or just in general, your perception of value, right? So that's what the 2nd house is. So beyond just wealth, beyond just physical money, like when we look at the animal kingdom, plants have their tendency of storing certain things. Squirrels store nuts, right? That's that's the 2nd house. That's their personal resources. So the nuts that they store, and then their ability to enjoy those nuts, that's the 2nd house. But the labor that goes into storing that nut, that's more like the 6th house. Okay, so first and foremost, with you having your sun, with you having your 2nd house in the sign Gemini. Gemini is all about the thoughts, right? So this, first and foremost, Gemini is also the speedster, right? It's a very, very fast sign, very quick, right? When you think of thoughts, right? Thoughts are very, very fast, right? You can think of thought in a nanosecond. You feel what I'm saying? Quick as heck. And so just as the 2nd house is the sign of, just as the 2nd house is wealth and Gemini is quick, this can be an indication, one, that you may have an ability to amass wealth or quickly, right? And this kind of reinforces and reestablishes that Taurian energy. Taurus is just naturally acquainted towards acquiring wealth. But this establishes and reaffirms the energy of I already said that. It reestablishes the Taurian energy, its natural ability to acquire wealth. Gemini, what it does is it makes the acquisition of wealth fast. But it's like, just as you can quickly amass and acquire wealth, wealth may just as fast leave. It may just as fast leave. Just as fast as it came, it may leave as well. And so with this also being the 2nd house, in Gemini, this can be an indication that you do a lot of thinking about wealth. You invest a lot of mental energy into, just thinking about money and thinking about personal resources and all that good stuff. And so I also want to mention this. The 2nd house also deals with like personal skills that you may find to be of value. And so Gemini, because it's the planet of the sign of thoughts, right? This can be an indication that you may value thoughts tremendously. Like, you may value your ability to learn. You may value information tremendously. You may value communication tremendously. You feel what I'm saying? And things like that. And the 2nd house, to an extent, also gives you insight into the nature of wealth acquisition. But the 6th house gives you more insight into wealth acquisition. But in general, with you having the 2nd house in Gemini, this is an indication that maybe tapping into work where like telemarketing may be involved, communication may be involved, education and knowledge may be involved, or even some form of salesmanship is involved. And because it's alignment with the Geminian energy, then it's like you may find yourself acquiring more wealth and more money through it. But in general, with this Gemini energy in the 2nd house, it indicates that your wealth is tremendously influenced by your thoughts, meaning that Gemini is a very dualistic sign, right? Gemini can express through worrisomeness, right? It can be a very worrisome sign. It needs to overthink. So on one end, this may be expressed through conscientiousness around wealth and kind of overthinking and overanalyzing, and maybe it manifesting as a fear of shortage. I doubt that that's probably a possibility, because Venus being in there, Venus kind of brings like this ease and this energy of like it's all good, everything is okay, like it's gonna be good. You know what I'm saying? And Venus brings things easy to you. So I doubt that, but one thing you can do though is leverage your thoughts more towards wealth. You know what I'm saying? So for example, if you are into affirmations, getting into affirmations revolving around money, speaking certain things into existence. But in affirmations, it's always more powerful for you to recite it within your mind than speak it outwardly, because when you're reciting it within your mind, you're pushing it deeper into your subconscious mind, and so it's becoming more real. And by doing that, you are enticing that energy within your second house of Gemini. You feel what I'm saying? And so furthermore, to give you more detail into this, getting crystals that are Geminian. So citrine is a Geminian crystal. You know what I'm saying? I think moonstone is a Geminian crystal as well. I'm not sure about that one. Citrine, aventurine, green aventurine and blue aventurine, skylight. These are all different crystals that are connected with the Gemini energy. And labradorite is also a crystal connected with the Gemini energy. Amethyst also, fluorites. Like these different minerals still contribute and in a sense help activate your second house energy in Gemini, because the second house is Geminian energy. Whenever you involve yourself with Geminian things, whether that's Geminian people, Geminian thoughts, Geminian activities, then you'll be enticing and activating your wealth. And I would recommend you getting into that and doing it because you have Venus, the planet of harmony, there. So you want to add as much energy to that as possible, and that will result in more wealth manifesting into your reality. But yeah, that's pretty much the second house. Now let's get into the third. Hell yeah. I hope that you're enjoying this reading so far. I hope that it is serving to be of benefit to you. I definitely hope so. I'm enjoying doing this reading for you for sure. And now to get into your third house. Okay. So the first third house ruler is Jupiter, right? The second third house ruler is the Sun. And then the third house ruler is the Moon. The Moon, right? Let me just double check. Yeah, the Moon. So your third house is in Cancer. And as I mentioned already, the house, the planets that rule these houses, they are influencing this house. So right now we're talking about the energies as depicted within the house, but where these planets are, what sign these planets are in, is also influential. So in this case, like the energy of the planet is influential because it's within the third house. So for example, your Sun being in the third house means that the energy of Sun is greatly anchored within, channeling through the third house, right? And we'll get more into what that means. And so is the sign Jupiter. The energy of Jupiter is channeled through the third house as well. So first and foremost, Jupiter, the third house. Your third house is in Cancer. So it's the Sun is the first ruler, Jupiter is the second ruler, and then the Moon is the third ruler. So when it comes to your Sun, when it comes to your third house being in the sign Cancer, the key phrase for Cancer is I feel. And so before I move forward, let me go back to Gemini. I didn't mention the key phrases for Gemini, right? Its key phrases I feel. Its key phrases I think and thoughts. Now when it comes to Gemini, strength is its flexibility, right? Gemini is very, very flexible. But when it comes to its weakness is its changeability, right? Gemini is very, very changeable. Very, very, very changeable, right? And so apply that to the second house energy to gain a little bit more insight into your second house and its nature. Now, when it comes to the third house naturally belongs to the energy of Gemini, right? And this house is the house that deals with thoughts, thinking, the mental environment, right? These are the houses of different departments of life. This is the department of the department that deals with your mental environment. So your immediate thoughts, those thoughts that are in your peripheral vision, like they're not subconscious, but they're conscious, right? Thoughts that you may be going through life and you may be thinking them, type energy. You feel what I'm saying? And so the third house, the energy of the third house, not only deals with the mental environment and the thoughts persisting within the mental environment, but it also deals with the immediate external environment. You feel what I'm saying? So things like, hold on, I'm thinking, I'm processing. So things like things like your immediate environment. You feel me? Things that are around you, like the objects around you. Like right now, right? You're probably in a room, or maybe you're outside, and as you look around, right, the things that are around you, the colors of the things that are around you, they all have a great influence in reflecting back to you the energy and consciousness within you. Like me, for example, I'm surrounded by some nice high quality technology, right? I'm surrounded by like 2 computers, by a couple of green things and purple things and blue things. So like the colors even within my environment have a reflection upon my mental energy, and my environment is a bit organized, like everything is organized except there's like this corner that's somewhat disorganized, just a little bit. It's not that bad, you feel me? So every single detail, even the fact that there is somewhat of it's like organized chaos, you can say, even that is a reflection of something within my mind. So it's what the third house is. It's what it deals with. It deals with your internal mental environment, but because your external environment is a looking glass into your mind, it also deals with your external environment. So first and foremost, the third house is in Cancer. Cancer is the sign of family. It's the sign of emotions and feelings, right? Its key phrases are I care. Cancer is a very, very caring sign. Even even when they say that they don't care, even when they don't care about something, they'll make sure that you know that they don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like they take caring to a whole nother echelon, or a whole nother level. You know what I'm saying? So they're very much caring orientated. They're Karens. No, they're not Karens. They're not Karens. They're not that crazy. But yeah, so this is Cancer energy. It's all about emotions. And Cancer is the sign. Its other key phrase is I feel, right? And its key word is feelings. So it embodies emotions and feelings and the subconscious mind, you know what I'm saying? And it very much embodies things like habitual habits of one's comfort zone, you know what I'm saying? And familial energies that were programmed within you from your childhood and upbringing, right? Because that's where like your most comfort is rooted in. Your most comfort is rooted in what you're familiar with, which is the root word of familiarity is family, technically, right? Familiarity. You feel me? Family. So yeah, that's very much the Cancerian energy. It's all about what you're familiar with. Very, very much safe. You know what I'm saying? Like when you think of the energy Cancer, and you think of its totem, animal totem, right? It's the crab. And like Cancer's strength, which is tenacity, its ability to go through. Hold on, give me a sec. Its ability to endure. I thought I heard something, but anyways, its ability to endure a lot of things is reflected in its shell. You know what I'm saying? Cancer has a very, very tough exterior, very, very tough shell, but its interior, right? Cancer's interior is very much mushy and soft. And so the energy of Cancer being reflected in its mushiness and softness is touchy, right? That's Cancer's weakness. It can be very touchy, very, very sensitive. And so essentially your mental environment is very much governed by this Cancerian energy, meaning that when it comes to your thoughts and your emotions, you may be swayed more so towards emotion rather than logic. What I'm saying, emotion rather than logic. Yeah, and your moon and your Mercury is in the 4th house, so that kind of reinforces that energy of like being more so influenced mentally by family, by the home life, and your thoughts being very much like anchored in that energy of family and home life. You know what I'm saying? And so this is very, very important and valuable to understand that your mental environment is usually on some Cancerian thing, whether that's caring for something, whether that's feeling something, or yeah, I'll leave it at that. And so what this energy can indicate, first and foremost, the strength and the cool thing about this is the 3rd house being like the house that deals with the mental environment. Cancer is a sign that has very powerful memory. This is because whenever there is an emotional involvement with something, it's easier for you to remember it than when it's just, something that happens and there isn't any emotional energy or emotional activity, if what I'm saying. So yeah, that's like your 3rd house. Like there really is no need to go too deep into the 3rd house. But furthermore, when it comes to your immediate environment, right, this can be in a energy that, because the 3rd house, it's one of the houses of associations, right? And so when we think of the 3rd house, and we know that it's like the house of family, it can indicate that your immediate environment is very much influenced by family energies. This can even be an indication that a lot of those around you that you have immediate access to may be familial. But it's like the 3rd house and the 4th house are very close, so it's in a way like that for everyone. Everyone, to an extent, immediate environment is familial, but like with the 3rd house, it's deeper than just familial. It's more like the immediate environment has a tremendous influence upon your emotions and your feelings, I feel, right? So it would be a great advantage for you to be more conscious about the things you put in your environment, maybe making sure that you have a clean home, having certain crystals, having certain plants around you that are conducive to your energy. So looking at Venetian plants, right, the plants connected with Venus, things like roses, for example, are Venetian. But any plant that's very, very beauty oriented, Venus is like the planet of beauty, planet of ease, and things like that. Any planet that's very, very beautiful, you know what I'm saying, would be connected to that energy. And also finding things that are connected with the Leo energy, right? And putting things around you connected with the Leo energy. So maybe like a lion, maybe in your room, or energies of the sun, maybe in your living room, you feel me? And that will also tremendously contribute to impacting, like that would be you leveraging your your environment to impact you mentally more harmoniously and positively. Okay. But yeah, that's pretty much the 3rd house. It's the house of emotions, emotional energies, and things like that. Now to get into your, hold on, give me a second. Now to get into your 4th house. Okay, so your 4th house, right, is in the sign. Should be in the sign Leo. Let me just double check to make sure it is indeed in the sign Leo. So yes, it's in the sign Leo, and the first 4th house ruler of yours is Jupiter. Jupiter, the planet of blessings. Planet of blessings. Hold on. Whoa, my mistake. Oh, okay, I see, I see. Did I talk about this already or no? So, wait, we forgot to talk about the rulers of the third house. So, the first ruler of your third house is Jupiter, and then the second ruler of your third house is the Sun, and then the fourth ruler of your third house is the Moon. So, because the Sun and because Jupiter are both rather benefic planets, and Cancer is not so benefic, it can somewhat be negative. Because these two benefic planets are in your third house, your thoughts are in a sense vitalized, like they have more energy and they're more positive and they're more optimistic and upbeat. You feel what I'm saying? So the emotions and the feelings that you may go through, and like the experiences with family, they're very Jupiterian. I mean, they're very positive, they're very expansive, they're very just jovial, like joyful type energy. So that's good. And then with Leo being in with the Sun being in Leo, Leo is very cheerful, very positive, very kind energy. So yeah, your thoughts are not going to do you wrong. They're good, but you can still leverage them more, and because like there are these benefic energies within your third house, like this is definitely an area that you should leverage. You know what I'm saying? Get into learning about mental expansion, because we're talking about the third house, which is the house of the mind. Getting into mental expansion, learning how to work with affirmation, learning how to work with esoteric psychology and mental alchemy. These are all things that would be very very compatible with you. You feel what I'm saying? Now, hold on, give me a sec. Now, your fourth house. So, as far as your fourth house is concerned, fourth house is in Leo, and your fourth house is in Leo. That's it. It's in Leo, and the fourth house ruler is Mercury. Then the second fourth house ruler is the Moon. Yep. And so, and the third fourth house ruler would be the Sun, right? Because the Sun rules Leo. And so this is good, right? The fact that you have your Moon in your fourth house is definitely a good sign, because the fourth house is the house of the home and domestic and private life, and so is the Moon. The Moon is very much a sign of the home and like domestic life. They have affinities towards each other. So first and foremost, with you having your fourth house within the sign of Leo. When it comes to Leo, the energy of Leo, Leo is very much a sign that deals with like identity. It deals with pridefulness. It's a very firm sign. It's a masculine sign. You feel me? It's very assertive. It's very dominating, but it's also very kind and warm and prideful. So your fourth house is likely a source of great pride and of great joy. And when it comes to your fourth house, your family life and your home life, this may be a place where you may find a lot of purpose, where you may have a desire to channel your will towards, you know what I'm saying? Because Leo is the sign of will. Like the key phrase that explains the energy of Leo is will, right? And it's like, I will do this. Like it's all about willpower. It's willingness. You know what I'm saying? That's where your fourth house is. So there's very much this energy of having a great affinity with the offsprings, right? Because Leo is the sign of offsprings, it's the sign of children, right? And so this can be an indication that you have children. I would say you probably do, because like the Moon is a very fertile sign, and because the Moon is in Leo, the sign of offsprings, in the fourth house, the sign of family, you probably do have some kids, right? But the kids are probably going to be very positive and optimistic, and a great contribution to the life. My apologies. I want to Just want to make sure, you know. I want to look at one other thing as well real quick. So okay. So yeah, you know, with the fourth house in Leo, this is like a home that's very like light and very positive and very upbeat. And like it's funny because how I was explaining how you would benefit from having like very vibrant things in your home life, like your home environment, you know, like putting up the energies of the sun, putting up lions and just red, orange color and things like very vibrant color. But that's probably already there. Like with you having your sun and Leo energy, the odds that finding a way into your home life is very likely, you know, because those energies are compatible. I hope that makes sense to you. And yeah, hold on. So I also want to check something real quick. I want to look at where you have your houses, you know, just so that I'm very, very clear and precise about these energies. Okay, here we go. Nope, still not showing me the houses. So the ascendant, layout. Okay, here it is. All right, for sure. Yeah, I just had to double make sure that where your fifth house was. You know, that was kind of difficult to know. So your fifth house is in the last degree of Gemini. I mean, the last degree of Leo. So there is a slim possibility that your fifth house may have been in Virgo, but it's not in Virgo. It's in Leo. And your sixth house is in Libra. Okay. So pretty much the fourth house is very positive, very energetic, you know. With the energies of Mercury being here, this can be an indication that like education and learning may be one of those things that are very significant, important within the home life. And this doesn't even have to be like school being very strict, but maybe within the home life there may be a promotion towards education and learning, you know. And even homeschooling may be a possibility that may be there as well, or maybe something that you may wanted to look into in the past, or you can consider looking into currently, you know, may be advantageous. But yeah, you know, so with the energy of Leo, I talked about, okay, we haven't really deciphered the energy of Leo like that. We talked about his key phrase being "I will," so there's a lot of will energy that goes into the home life and family, and you know, making sure that you are a supporting factor to your home and your family energy. But then simultaneously, you know, Leo, when it comes to the way that it expresses itself, its strength is in its kindness, right? Leo rules the heart. And like the heart, you know, Leos are very, very kind and loving and charitable. Leo also rules the spine, especially the lower spine, you know, which kind of reflects Leo not being spineless, right? They have a spine and they will stand up for what they believe in. They will stand up for others and things like that, you know. But then that's a strength, you know. It's kindness and it's warm energies. But its weakness is its domineering energy. Like Leos can sometimes be dominating. They can be bullies. They can want to rule others. They want to control others. You know what I'm saying? And so that may even be like a double-edged sword of the home life. Like maybe even though it's so wonderful, sometimes it may feel like heavy and very dominating. Possibly I can see how that can be a possibility. But yeah, you know, now let's look into your fifth house. Fifth house. So like your fourth house, your fifth house is also within the sign of Leo. it's 29 degrees Leo energy, right? And so with your fifth house being within the sign Leo, this is great. This is wonderful because the energy of Leo rules the fifth house. And so the fifth house is the house that deals with the offsprings. It deals with children. It deals with the home life. You feel what I'm saying? No, my bad. It deals with offsprings. It deals with children. It deals with creativity. It deals with sexual expression. Because, sexual energy and creative energy are like technically the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Creative energy, raw creative energy, sexual energy. And what else does the fifth house rule? Pretty much that's it. It also rules entertainment and fun, having fun, because Leo in general is a very fun energy. And so these are all things that you may naturally be good at. You may naturally be an individual who, in a sense, knows how to have fun, especially with you having your sun in Leo. Naturally, you may be a very fun person, very optimistic, enthusiastic, very enthusiastic and energetic person. Enthusiasm and like influential, right? Like that's like the energy of fire in general. But yeah, very enthusiastic, optimistic, and positive, go lucky, go happy energies. And so you may even be like the party. You may be the heart of the party. You know what I'm saying? You may know how to turn up. With the Leo energy. My apologies. But yeah, as I was saying, with the Leo energy, Leo is very, very, very positive, very, very upbeat. And so Leo is raw creativity. When you think of Leo, you got to think about the sun, because Leo is ruled by the sun. And the energy of the sun is expressed to Leo, right? And the sun is a very creative planet, or star, that I should say. It's not a planet. In astrology, it's considered a planet, for convenience. It is the star of creativity, right? Within all things, within the material, physical realm. It is because of the sun that these things can persist, that life can manifest and be created. You know what I'm saying? So Leos in of themselves are very, very creative, right? And they're also very, very fruitful, like multiplication-wise. They're very, very like sexual creatures. They're very sexual beings, right? And they enjoy the production of babies, offsprings, right? They typically find themselves with children. And so the thing with children and offsprings, when the fifth house is involved, is it can be beyond just physical children, but it can be like, properly conducting within the act that produces children, like sex magic, right? And instead of manifesting children, manifesting, let's say, $1 million, or manifesting something else that's not tangible, but it's still a result of you and your partner. So it's an offspring connected to you. And this can even be like an art piece, right? Maybe, Leo very much deals with the visual arts. So possibly getting into a stage and dancing your heart out, or being a comedian. I know a couple Leos who are comedians, being funny. That can also be one of the possibilities of Leo energy. So they're very expressive and very creative, right? And so yeah, when it comes to offsprings, it's not just children, but it's like offspring as in one's creativity. Maybe you make art pieces, like jewelry, wrapping, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Very creative energy. But yeah, in a nutshell, that's like the fifth house. And now let's get into the sixth house, which is going to be the final house for this section. All right, so now let's look at your sixth house. Okay, so your fifth house is within the sign of Libra. And so this is good, right? Because it continues the theme of wealth that was began with your second house. So your second house was within Gemini. Gemini is an air sign, you know what I'm saying? And so is Libra, right? And the thing about the air signs is they deal with associations, right? They rule the houses of associations. The 3rd house is Gemini, the 7th house is Libra, and the 11th house is Aquarius. Now, if you have in your 6th house in the sign Aquarius, right? What this indicates, with you having your 6th house in the sign Libra, what this indicates and dictates is that when it comes to labor, when it comes to work and things that you should align yourself with, they should be very much compatible with the Librian energy, right? And one of the things that Libra deals with is lawyers, right? But the reason why Libra is connected to lawyers is because Libra is the sign of personal relationships, right? And when you're in, for example, hire and work with a lawyer, it's a very intimate personal relationship. Like, the lawyer is your representative, right? They're your rep. They represent you. And so what this indicates and what this means, like, that's just an example of the Libra energy, right? But Libra is also the sign that deals with the engagement with the public world, right? So working with people is a very much paramount essentialness. Libra can be connected and associated with things like, what's that term? Social work? Yeah, social work. So things like social work, being heart chakra type of energy, right? Giving yourself to others and all that good stuff. You can also be very Libra-like, and Leo-like too, for sure. Leo is like the king. It's typically very modest and giving and charitable and caring, but it can be a tyrant as well, for sure. But anyways, with the Libra energy, it's important that you work in fields where you're helping to bring balance. And this can be justice, right, as depicted by lawyers and judges even. This can even be like work where, for example, counseling and personal, like any one-on-one like work, right? Whether it's even like coaching, where you're working with someone on a one-on-one basis and you're helping them. That's very much Libra energy, right? And it's compatible with you because you have that Libra energy within your 6th house. So Libra, it rules over things like literature, it rules over things like communication, it rules over things like the social world and social workers, as I mentioned. Libra energy are people that work with other people. So it's important that in the work that you do, you're continuously engaging with someone and you're engaging with people, and that you're not isolated somewhere in an office by yourself. Like, if you're isolated somewhere in an office by yourself, and let's say you're on the phone communicating, that's good. It's better, right, than just being isolated by yourself and just doing paperwork. It's good, but that's more Geminian energy than Libra energy. But because you have your 2nd house in Gemini, that will still be conducive to the acquisition of wealth. Like, it'll have an affinity towards your 6th house, which will be good work to do as well. But anytime you align with the Libra energy, right? Anytime, for example, let's say you get certain crystals that are Libra related crystals, or you do certain things that are Libra related things, then the odds of you attracting labor to yourself increase because you're activating and you're enticing those thought cells, as they're considered, within your astral body. And when you entice those thought cells, then they psychokinetically attract and draw things to you. That's why first you put your mind and it comes to you, because there's a deeper function to why it works the way it works. You feel what I'm saying? But yeah, that's like the Libra energy. It's of paramount importance. And so because your 6th house is within the sign of Libra, what this indicates is that your 5th house is ruled by, your 6th house is ruled by by Venus. Right, it's ruled by Venus. And actually the first ruler of your 6th house is Pluto, right? That's kind of intense. Pluto is a very intense sign. But the second ruler of your 6th house is Venus. So with Pluto being in your 6th house and ruling over your 6th house, it's an indication of, like, let's say, certain people that work in crisis related work, right? Like people who show up when something crazy happens, something intense happen. Like, that's plutonic work right there. You feel what I'm saying? People who are involved with criminal activities, that's very plutonic work as well. Pluto can deal with like what's it call it? It can deal with detectives and investigators, people very heavily associated with criminal work, right? But Pluto can also deal with mass production. So Pluto can also express as in working as a contributor to helping to produce something at mass, because Pluto is the planet of mass production. Yeah, these are all things that Pluto can deal with. But yeah, that's pretty much that. Like, that's pretty much that. That's that for our first session. And yeah, I definitely look forward to your feedback and hearing any thoughts you have. And I definitely look back to covering the next 6 houses for you, the 7th through the 12th. So the 6th houses that we just talked about, these are like private energies, right? These are more energies that are behind the scenes. But then the 7th through the 12th house, these are more public energies that are more relevant and that you see more in your life. That are more public and that are seen by others in your life. But yeah, I definitely look forward to hearing more from you, and I hope that this reading resonated and it benefited you. Definitely enjoyed doing it for you. I hope that you enjoyed receiving it. All right, peace.